A city where it is illegal to talk to anyone in an elevator, or are we calling it a lift today? It's Ventriloquism Weekly. 3 Mondays of the next generation of ventriloquists comes to a close with a guest from across the pond. Hey, Matt Bailey here to tell you that Lachlan Werner hails from Worcester, UK. Sorry if I butchered the name of your town there, Lachlan. He is one of these young guys that is so intelligent and introspective, I consider that he might be an old soul. I told him afterwards that I didn't know what to expect, but he really blew me away with what he had to say, and I think he will blow you away too. Here now, our interview with Lachlan Werner. Lachlan Werner, welcome to Ventriloquism Weekly. How are you today, sir?
I'm very well, thank you.
It's wonderful to have you. Tell everybody how old you are.
I'm 15 years old.
15 years old. When did you get started in ventriloquism?
I started when I was about 7 or 8, and I just, it was a weird time, I guess. I was a very gauche, gaudy little child who was wanted to be performing and craved limelight, but couldn't say what I wanted to say, I suppose. So
you say it through the character.
Yeah. Just thought, pick up a puppet and that'll be a way to get it out.
That's wonderful. So how did you discover what ventriloquism is?
Well, I've always loved puppetry since I was, 3 years old. I think I fell in love with Jim Henson and the Muppets and all of that world of puppets. But I think I had also wanted to be in acting, and I'd always liked to perform myself. So when I was about 7, I discovered ventriloquism on YouTube and saw a lot of actually British ventriloquists, but then started, opening up into that realm of American vents who were doing it, postmodern ventriloquists. And that was very interesting. And I just realized that the best way that I could be on stage myself and then also have something which would, mask me and I could hide behind and yet say these things which were ridiculous. That's how I came about discovering it.
That's wonderful. Now, you touched on something about going from British to American ventriloquists. Is that because ventriloquism is not necessarily as prevalent in the UK?
I think so, yeah, I do think so. I'm not sure what it is, maybe, but I know that it's definitely because of horror films and all of that, archetypes of scary dolls that have put it out of fashion. But I don't know what it is that's made it more popular over there than it is here now. But it's definitely, I think the convention and people like Terry Fator and Jeff Dunham are really helping over there. We just need a lot more over here.
Yeah, and you hit on something that makes me want to, I hate to ask people about other ventriloquists, but it kind of comes in when you're talking to somebody from another country. You want to get the perspective of somebody over there who sees it more than we do. Even though ventriloquism is not necessarily as popular in the UK, you still have somebody, Nina Conti, who I have never seen in the world of comedy somebody have such a meteoric and quick rise to fame. What's her popularity like over there, and how has she influenced you?
Oh, yeah, she's brilliant. Oh, it's insane. I've known of her since I started years ago, which I think says a lot about my childhood, that was the kind of comedy I was watching. But I just thought she was just this incredible, really eccentric character who had a lot of really raw creativity and a lot to offer. And I am surprised that she's been taken so well here, because we're very, uptight, I think, British people. And so it's surprising that they've been able to accept something so, mad.
Again, I think it goes back to what you were saying. She's not saying any of it. It's her characters, and what I like is she gets to, not to get too much on a tangent, but I think she plays the part of that stuffy British person, that archetypical, you say.
She does, yeah.
So that's wonderful to hear. So let's get back to you. Where were some of your first shows?
when I was about 10, well, I suppose, I did some talent shows when I was quite young. And then when I was about 10, a few people kind of picked up on it and thought, well, this is ridiculous. Let's put him in some shows, I guess. And yeah. So I started doing some variety shows at local theatres. And then since then, I've done a lot of stuff. And then now I'm, touring. This last year I toured a show, and now I'm moving on to even more ridiculous things.
Now, how many places did you go?
I think it was about 4 or 5. Yeah, 4 or 5 places that we went to, but it was good. Yeah,
fantastic. And it's, from what I was looking at on the website, it's more of a one-man show than anything. You really tried to put it together as more than just a stand-up act, if I'm correct.
Yeah, I wanted to just see where it could go in a very theatrical sense, and I like the idea of making it more extreme and using the characters to make a show. I like to put on more of a show. I don't want it to be a strictly stand-up styled comedy. I like it to be more of a show and have more song and dance.
Absolutely.
Even more camp, ridiculous stuff in there.
That's wonderful. Yeah. So do you study theater? Do you study theater in conjunction with ventriloquism?
No, yes, I do. I'm doing a performing arts course, and then next year, hopefully, I'm going to be going to college to do performing arts again and to study acting.
College? Hold up. I don't know much about the British education system, but you'd
No, over here we leave high school at 16 and then go to college. And
Really?
then university sort of, comes after that.
Oh, cool. So is university like graduate school here in America?
No, our university is what's college to you guys.
Oh, cool. Oh, and college must be...
College is kind of, like the last 2 years of... Well, it's not, it was what you would be doing in the last 2 years of high school.
Well, still, that's really, really cool. And you said they offer programs, performing arts programs?
Yeah, there's some good stuff around in the Midlands, especially. There's some pretty good stuff.
I love it. And what I love to hear from you is sometimes when you ask the question, well, how did you get started? I love to hear that in some of these people, that it's just embedded in you. You don't necessarily know how it sort of bit you. Like you said, you fell in love with the Muppets very, very early on. And it's just, do you think it's something that performers just kind of have, this draw to it?
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's something that's... I think it's a great thing for people who are very withheld and can't say things which they would like to say. And I think especially if you are a performer, then that's even better, because it means you can really put yourself out there and on the line and let your voice be heard. But it's not your voice being heard, it's another voice, which is great.
So then do you think it makes... This is really deep now, I don't know. Do you think it makes for a great, great social commentary then, because they can get away with it, and the vent necessarily couldn't if it were just a straight stand-up act? Do you think the vent has more leeway to make social commentary, especially in a more buttoned-up place like the UK, like you were saying?
I do. I think that more comedians should try it, really. I think they would probably get funnier stuff. It's definitely a way of exposing yourself to being able to do things. And I think it's good at breaking political correctness, because it's gone too far.
It has. And you're a youth saying that, so that's important. That's important to notice that, I think it was kind of the youth culture of just sort of not wanting to offend everybody, which kind of started with what they call the millennials. I think I could be speaking out of turn. I've been known to shove my foot very, very far in my mouth on this program. But it's interesting to see the generation coming after saying, whoa, too far, and using comedy to kind of pull back on those PC reins.
Yeah, I do think that it's restriction of humor, and that's the worst bit about it, is that it makes for people who are so touchy that they lose their sense of humor, and it's a shame.
Yeah, that's something so important to keep, is your sense of humor. And now I'm going to switch gears completely. Talk about how you develop and design your characters.
I I suppose when I started it, I was just coming up with ideas from when you're young, you do take things from other vents and you do steal people's things. It's the way that most people start out. But now I like to be very satirical because I have a lot of I think in my life there's a lot of people who I find very interesting and I think make for brilliant comedy, because there's nothing funnier than normal people being normal and saying the things that they naturally say. And so I try to get ideas from as many real people as I can, because I think that they're hilarious.
That's incredibly insightful. That's wonderfully insightful.
Thank you.
I'm so amazed, and man, this sounds like I'm doing the same episode 3 times over, but it's the truth. I'm so amazed at how articulate and insightful ventriloquists around our age, I'm 20, you're 15, around our age are. It's incredible. Can you speak to your incredible maturity?
Sorry, I missed a little bit of what you said.
I said, can you speak to how you've become so mature at such a young age?
Oh, I've no idea. Maybe it's frustration. I don't know. I think the only reason that I think so much and have to think on my feet is because I think that there's a lot of stupidity in this world, and the only way that you can really survive is by trying hard to be more intelligent.
Exactly. That's great. Now, I'm going to ask you to speak to that for ventriloquists as a whole. I know that at the time we're doing this, you have not heard any of the other interviews we've done on this sort of series of youth interviews that we're doing because they're not up yet. But why do you think ventriloquists are just such an intelligent bunch of people from a very young age?
Oh, I don't know. I suppose it is just because you explore things much. It's a very adventurous thing to do with your mind, and that's what I think is so wonderful about it, is that it can just really open you up to different things, and you do find thoughts in the back of your mind and think, well, that's really interesting. If I didn't have this character on my hand, I probably wouldn't have thought of that, and then that's where it comes out of. And then you do, I find myself even without characters now thinking of things which I'm sure only they would.
Yeah, it kind of splits the mind, but not in a. I hate to say that because that sort of feels like it plays into the stereotype of schizophrenia, but no, it really gives the ventriloquist several different avenues to intelligently approach the world.
It does, yeah. It certainly does.
It's wonderful. So you said something that I love, and I've only heard people in college talk about, which is satire. Why satire for you?
Oh, I suppose there's a lot. It's like I say, it's very interesting people, and I think that there's either people. I'm a very Marmite-ish sort of person. There's either people that I really dislike or people that I really like, and either way, I find them very interesting and want to use them and really explore what I think they would say if they were put onto a stage and put under a spotlight, I suppose, and see what they would say then.
That's great. Do you think ventriloquism could be used in this direction more?
I think so, and I think there are people who use it maybe unconsciously, like I don't know who to give an example of, but there's some brilliant people who I think do it very well without maybe labeling it as satire, and I think that they are the ones that I'm more drawn to, I suppose. But I do think it would be good if more people explored that, because it's a kind of way of using it in a less obvious way, I suppose, than just, the wooden puppet and the corny jokes.
Exactly. So who are some of those inspirations for you?
Well, Nina Conti, definitely. It comes at the top of the list. I love her. And Jay Johnson, I think he's brilliant. Really love him. And goodness, who else is there?
Doesn't have to be a ventriloquist. I'm asking, I'm also curious, like who are comedians we as Americans or other people around the world who listen might not be aware of in the UK that really inspire you.
And there's a lot of good satirists as well that I do really like. like Spike Milligan and Barry Humphries and Monty Python. I think they're wonderful as well. Just sort of taking things from life as much as they can. It's a lot of older people. I don't have very modern taste.
I'm the same way. My influences. I went to see Garth Brooks last weekend, and people were like, "What? Garth Brooks? Who's he?" So,
Yeah.
But he's not a comedian; he's a musician. But I get that. I get having older influences that people look at you and go, "What? What are you talking about?" Yeah. That's wonderful to hear. So This is incredible. I want to do our signature last question with you, and I'm very excited for this answer. Sitting here talking to you for the last couple of minutes. What do you want to see in ventriloquism? What do we need to do?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know what could be done. I don't know. I think more people just getting as adventurous as they can with it and just really pushing themselves so much to think, how will the world receive this? And how can I speak to people on a universal level that they'll really enjoy? That's what I think needs to be done. And I would love to see so much more of it on television, and because it's funny, it's really funny. And I think it's a shame that less people are enjoying it as many as they used to.
That's incredibly well put. Thank you so much, Lachlan Werner, for coming on the show. And I wish you all the best. I really see a bright future ahead for you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you again to Lachlan. We shift gears next week to a gentleman who was a youth invent and discovered film acting on his journey through the art form, and he's never abandoned it at all. In fact, it's still very much prevalent in his life, though he doesn't pursue it as full-time as he might have. We speak with Adam D. Filippi next week. That's it for us this week. D. Filippi, that's another name. Adam, I'm sorry. We haven't done our interview yet. You told me how to pronounce it a couple days ago, and I'm hoping I got it right. But that's it for us this week, as I say. A reminder, you can find all you need to know about Ventriloquism Weekly by visiting our website. There it is again, visiting after ventriloquism, ventriloquismweekly.com. Reach out by emailing ventriloquismweekly@gmail.com and find our page on Facebook by going to facebook.com/talk4two, and you can search for our Facebook group by searching Ventriloquism Weekly podcast for ventriloquists. Tweet us, tweet about us, and use hashtag talk42, TALKFORTWO. From New York, signing off for Ventriloquism Weekly, I'm Matt Bailey, reminding all you vents out there to keep talking for two.